Guru in Sanskrit becomes Gurave. So please, it is Om Gurave Namah. Gurave is a wrong. So basically, we are starting with Dhana Karaka, and there are basically multiple significations in this. First thing about wealth is the source of wealth. पैसा कहाँ से आ रहा है? The source of wealth. If you are working for a company, then the source of wealth is the company, right? If you are in a business, the source of wealth is related to whatever you are doing business in. Clear? So the source of wealth is very important. If the source of wealth is like this, if there is a big jar of water, everybody can drink from that water. There's plenty of water to drink. But if there is only one glass, how much can you drink from there? How many people can drink from there? So the source is very important. The first thing that you need to check is the source of wealth. And so the source of, without knowing the source of wealth and the strength, the quantum, because everybody in the beginning, in the middle, will ask, how do we know how much wealth will be there? Right? Standard. This question comes in the middle, it doesn't come at the beginning. So what we need to know is what is the source and to what extent has the source been developed. It's like this. Let us say you are in the mining industry. You go to a mine, you get a contract for a mine. So it's just a plain ground. I do not know whether you have seen. It's absolutely plain ground. So you start digging over there, you start this thing, and then we have to see how much is the source. How much metal is going to come out from there. So the source is good. That means a lot of flow will happen. Even after I teach this, I know that many of you will skip this step. Many of you will skip it. And because you skip this step, everything else will go wrong. In foundations, the first thing we teach is find out the source. And the source we know from the fourth house from the sun. The source of wealth is the fourth from the sun. Now there are many complicated calculations here. We will go through all of them. So sun is the giver of wealth. This is a very, very well-known thing in Jyotish. Moon is the path to the wealth. Now once you know the source, you have to go there. It's the path. So the path to it, how do I get there? I need to go to the place where the money is so that I can get the money. If there is a job vacancy in, let us say, Google, you don't apply for the job to Microsoft because Microsoft is unable to give that job of Google. You see my point? You need to go to the place that whole, so it's a social interaction. You see that? There is an advertisement in the newspaper or something like Naukri.com, and then you observe that, and then you apply for that. That whole interaction is a social networking, social thing. So therefore, it has to come from the moon. Do you see that? Because moon is the mind, and it is a society. The society where you live, where you interact, the society where you are, is going to offer the jobs, is going to offer opportunity. So it's your circles. And there are circles within circles. So from there you will, the path to wealth. This is the path. You have to take a path. And you need to be sure that that path is good and strong and supporting. Otherwise, halfway down the line, the gas is over. Because you got to sit in the car and you got to go to work. If there's no gas in the car, you're finished. So that is the second step. After that, Mercury is karma for wealth. The karma that you have to do. Let's say you go and join Google and you tell them, look, I'm a PhD in computer science. Google will say, fine, go for training. Why do you need to go for training? What we call acclimatization. You need to know how the ethics are, you need to know how Google works, you need to know what your work is, you have to learn the work, you have to learn to work in that place, how to do the work. And every work Every company has a different culture. Just because you worked in Google doesn't mean you can also go and work in Microsoft. The ethics, the method, everything is different out there. Like in fact, Microsoft does have a pyramid system. Whereas Google is more flat table. Yeah, it's a round table working. So if you know how they work, so you have to learn and you have to see whether you fit into the system. All that is about Mercury. Mercury is the karaka for that, because you have to learn. Every time you go to a new company, you are learning. And even when you are in that place, you are still learning. You don't stop learning. You never stop learning. Learning is a continuous process. Okay? And finally, the wealth, the result. Based on your work, based upon what you have done, what is the wealth you got? Did you get an award for your work? Did you get a recommendation for your work? I mean, did you get promotion because of something fantastic you have done? All that is Jupiter. Talking of Jupiter and exalted Jupiter in Lagna. Okay, so you see, there are 4 karakas. And there are 4 steps to this fact. Where does the Lagna come in? Where does the individual come in Lagna? Lagna interacts with Mercury. You see, the 2 planets which get Digbala, directional strength, in Lagna, is Mercury and Jupiter. So Lagna comes into the picture only in these stages. Mercury and Jupiter decide how you are learning, how fast you are learning. Lagna has to interact with that Mercury so that you can learn. Learning is a continuous process. You learn, you assimilate. Again learn, assimilate. So the Lagna has to interact. And similarly, Jupiter has to interact with Lagna. The award is for you. Whether you are getting awarded. All that, these 2 are critical for Lagna. Whereas the Sun and the Moon are independent of it. You could have a connection, a powerful connection. Hey, Google's boss is my cousin brother. Okay, you'll get a job out there. Maybe. Maybe they'll take you in a certain area where you need to be you need somebody very trustworthy, so he can take you there. So depending upon the job definition. Did you get a very clear picture on this? Only for the Sun, we will see the 4th house. Okay? For the Moon, we will see the 10th house. 9th and 10th. In fact, 9th from the Moon is also very, very important. Because the whole joining process, application diya, and then after that the interview, then after that everything, your selection until you get your letter, joining letter, is 9th house from the Moon. And then then going and joining is 10th house from the Moon. Going to work, joining work is 10th house. Once this part is done, the Sun and the Moon are done, then you come to Mercury. It's the 1st house from Mercury which matters. Your Lagan is 1st house. So the 1st house from Mercury shows how you are learning. What are your learning capabilities? Learning capabilities are all from the 1st house from Mercury. So it's very important that your Mercury is extremely fantastic. But what is the definition of a fantastic Mercury? We'll go into that a little bit. Is everybody's mind, like for example, there was a time when they thought that everybody who's very good in mathematics is a genius. And social sciences were not even considered for intelligence. Somebody is good in geography, not intelligent. That was a very old British system. India also took that up. Typically they will say, बेचारे का engineering medicine नहीं हुआ तो ठीक है, history में नाम. So either you are an engineer or a doctor to qualify as intelligent, which is actually wrong. Today it is proved wrong. Because there are extremely intelligent people in Oxford who are neither engineers nor doctors. So, do you see? It depends where Mercury is. It's the peculiar kind of intellect that you have for learning. What are you good at learning? Are you good at learning languages? Everybody may not be good at that. But there are people I know who know 5 languages, 7 languages. And not just knowing first. One of them could be historical language also, which is dead. Do you know somebody who has discovered a language which was lost? For example, you would like to study the chart of somebody who went and found out the language of the Egyptians, which was all in drawings. He deciphered that. Who's this guy? Who did the deciphering? What's his chart like? He's Tula. Anyway, so when I study, I get obsessed. What is this ability that they have? Because when somebody has an ability, you should enhance that ability and not something else. It's as simple as that.